Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning back in for another episode. Today, we have the privilege of hosting a remarkable leader and educator on Realizing Rural, Dean April Cohn. Dean Cohn, who recently assumed the role of campus dean at the University of South Carolina at Salkehatchie, brings a wealth of experience in rural education and community engagement. With a deep-rooted connection to the Salkehatchie region, Dean Cohn has served as a registered nurse and has fostered educational opportunities all across our area. Her remarkable journey and accomplishments, including leading the Rural Nursing Initiative program, have made a significant impact on the lives of students and the community as a whole. Join us today as we delve into a conversation with Dean Cohn about her insights into rural education and the challenges and opportunities that it presents and her vision for the future in rural South Carolina. Dean Cohn, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
And I'll say before we get started, before we get too much into this, I think the first time I met Dean Cohn, she was actually it was more of an informal, I guess, meeting. It was at the I was in basketball stripes, and I think she was probably yelling at me on a basketball court. I think that was her yelling at me. Her or her husband won. She had two kids that played basketball and are really good athletes, and so I'm a basketball referee, as I think most people know. So I think that was her yelling at me in the stands. I haven't quite figured it out. She denies it, but
I doubt I was hollering at you. It was either one of my children or another ref.
there you go. There you go. Sounds good.
I didn't
Well,
holler at you. You always
well,
make good calls.
well. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, and really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. You
Happy
have
to be
a
here.
really a personal connection to this area and a personal connection to the Salkehatchie region. Just give us a little bit of background of kind of your story and how you ended up really where you are today.
Sure. It's kind of a long one, an interesting and intertwined one for sure. But I am a region native, and I grew up in Barnwell and attended Barnwell schools all my life. Graduated from there and got married in 2000. And that's about the time I moved to Sycamore, which, if you're not familiar, very tiny little town in Allendale County. So definitely a difference from Barnwell, but still a very small town. Have two children, as you mentioned, and twins, and they were born in '03 and are, 19 and about to hit 20 in December and making me feel really old. But yeah, I didn't start my higher education journey at Salkehatchie, although there are plenty of days I really wish the nursing program that we have now was around back then, and I certainly would have taken advantage of it, but it wasn't. So I didn't start my journey here, but I do really feel like my journey is very similar to that of many of our students. And like you mentioned, I am a nurse by profession and began my career after earning an associate's degree. So, like many of our students we have at USC Salkehatchie, they start out with an associate's degree, and I did too. So, earned my associate's degree in 2001 from Orangeburg Tech and worked as a registered nurse for about 5 years at Allendale County Hospital and moved from there to Allendale Fairfax High School and Middle School, where I served as the school nurse and lead nurse, as well as a teen pregnancy prevention program coordinator. And I did that for about 5 years. While working full time in the district, I made a decision to return to school and completed my bachelor's degree in nursing. And in 2010, started working at USC Salkehatchie in the nursing program. I started there as the nursing student success manager. And after starting at Salk, I'm working here for a little while, working with students at the undergraduate level. I really knew I wanted to teach, and I knew administration was of interest as well. But I knew in order to teach at the undergraduate level, I had to have a graduate degree. So I decided to return to school and pursued my master's degree in nursing. And not long after that, I actually transitioned into the nursing academic program manager role. That was in early 2014. And also taught both lower and upper division nursing courses as a clinical assistant professor. But ironically enough, in higher education is encouraged. I had several mentors throughout my time, and throughout my career in general, but at USC Salkehatchie in particular, who really inspired me and pushed me to go back to school one last time. So once again, chose to return. to pursue a terminal degree. So my doctorate degree is in nursing, but my focus is in executive leadership. Like I mentioned, I began in 2010 at Salk in the nursing program, taught managed the program until I actually was named dean last year in July. So really excited. Each step of my journey, really has further advanced my career opportunities and has provided me with the credentials that I needed to teach at the undergraduate level and now to lead the USC Salkehatchie campus. And that's honestly something that I never dreamed would have been an opportunity for me. I always joke and say, people don't grow up saying, hey, I want to be a dean. They say, I want to be a nurse. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a teacher, but nobody really says, I want to be a dean of a campus. So it's honestly never been anything that's on my radar, but I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited to lead this campus and certainly humbled to have the opportunity to do that.
Well, congratulations, first of all. I know a lot of people in the community are really excited to hear you were named dean, and I know you've already made some great strides and look forward to hearing some of your vision in the future. You mentioned part of this rural nursing initiative program and your involvement in the nursing program. Can you give us I want to talk about all the programs at Salk, but give us a little bit of insight, because I know your background and experience there. Give us a little bit about that program, and specifically about the training the professionals who then choose to live and work in rural areas many times.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a Bachelor of Science in Nursing Partnership program, which has been very successful. It was established in 2010. 2006. We graduated our first cohort of students in 2010. So initially when our program was started, just like any of the other programs that we offer here, there's a need. So in the early 2000s, some of the healthcare organizations approached the administrators at USC Salkehatchie, and they decided to write a grant, and that's how this program was created. And it's been very successful and self-sustaining ever since. And so when our program first started, we were partnering with USC Columbia College of Nursing. And so the way that our program works is students come to USC Salkehatchie for basically their general courses, their first 2 years, and then they transition on paper to, at the time, USC Columbia. We now partner with USC Beaufort, so it's the same concept, just a different campus that we partner with now. But students complete their prereqs with Salk and then transfer on paper now to USC Beaufort, but physically remain here on our campus to finish out the remainder of that program. So they never have to leave. We offer pre-nursing courses on both of our campuses. And if you're not familiar, USC Salkehatchie, I know you're familiar, but some of your listeners may not be. But we have 2 campuses. We have one in Allendale and we have one in Walterboro. We offer pre-nursing courses on both campuses, but once they transition to the upper division portion of the program, all of that coursework is done on the Walterboro campus. But once they transition into upper division, like I said, they become USC Beaufort on paper, but remain on our campus to finish out that program. So when they graduate, they are graduating with a USC Beaufort degree. But they're, like I said, just having the ability to do that on our campus. And to brag a little bit on our program, I can't help it. But we do have our graduates that graduated this year actually earned a 100% first-time NCLEX pass rate. And NCLEX is the national licensure exam for registered nurses. And they have earned a 100% first-time NCLEX pass rate. And that's actually very, very impressive. Just to give a little context, the national average for that is about 87%.
Wow,
first
awesome.
time. So, and actually last year we took a little break from the 100%, but the previous, I think 6 or 7 years were 100% first-time NCLEX pass rates. So got a great program. We have state-of-the-art high fidelity simulation lab on the Walterboro campus. And that's part of, my work in the nursing program was that high fidelity simulation lab. And so we recently actually received another grant to expand that. And So I like to say and kind of joke around a little bit that we have an entire family of mannequins in our simulation lab now. So we have a sim man, a sim mom, sim baby, and also a sim junior. So we have a pediatric mannequin. That's the newest addition. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. And to just to think, I was fortunate enough to tour several years ago, and the quality of equipment and things that you guys have been able to piece together down there for the nursing program, I know has been really well. And when you think about it, the campus in Walterboro, the campus in Allendale, both of those I think are rural in a sense, right? So it's probably I would think probably the most rural USC campus. And so when you as dean of a rural area like that, what do you see as some of the challenges? First of all, challenges that may be facing you, and secondly, some potential opportunities that students in a rural community like Salkehatchie may face.
Well, I think, one of the challenges, and it's completely understandable. A lot of students are kind of ready to get out of the house. Some of them are ready to go off to a big campus, and what I do hope and hope that we're able to portray, and what I hope students do understand is that they have USC right here in their backyard. And it might not be as much of a big deal for students, but I know from personal experience that it is for parents. We offer a USC, high quality USC education right here in both Allendale and Walterboro, for a much more affordable cost. We do have the most cost effective tuition of any of the campuses. We are a Palmetto College campus, and that means there's four total regional campuses. We are one of those four, and so our tuition is by far the most cost effective of any of them. Right now, what I am really hoping to get into the community is, number one, that we're here. Number two, that we're invested in our communities. Number three, that we have so many opportunities here that most people don't even realize. As long as the nursing program even has been around, people don't realize that we have that opportunity here. Other opportunities are education. We partner with USC Aiken for elementary education. We partner with USC Aiken for engineering program. As a part of the Palmetto College system, we're also able to connect students with more than 20 bachelor's degree opportunities. So most people don't realize that. So what I have found as the biggest challenge is just making sure that people know that, and we're working really hard to do that. We have a great team here at USC Salkehatchie, and everybody that I've worked with here has done extremely impressive, and they are all very invested in our local communities and really do want to see our students, and Salkehatchie, of course, succeed.
Yeah, those students from the rural communities, you talked about the pass rate of some of your nursing students, and I think it's neat to see that, because a lot of the students that you guys do cater to, I know you have some that come from the outside, but most of them are local kids coming from a rural community, and to see I think the motivation and the work ethic of those kids to get that pass rate is something incredible. I think it's a testament of being from, in a lot of ways, from a rural area, and having that motivation and wanting to succeed. And also, you talked about the affordability and the accessibility. I think that is to me, that's one of the things. As you know, I've been on our Barnwell County Council for 5 years now, and as we look at education as a whole, right? Obviously, we're not involved day to day in educational decisions, but education plays a huge impact on quality of life for people when where they may want to locate and raise a family, but also where they choose to go to college, and having those, educational experiences both accessible locally and affordable, and to have an institution with the backing of University of South Carolina, and to have that located in Walterboro and in Allendale, so close in Barnwell's backyard, to me is a huge deal, because our students, they don't, if they want to go off, fine, but the reality is we have a better chance of, at the end of the day, I would love for them to live here, right? We want to try to encourage them to live here, and so many times, as you know, when they do go off, they don't they don't come back, right? They meet someone or they find other opportunities, which is great. But if we can find ways to encourage them to go there, stay local, provide the educational opportunities, and what you guys are doing down there to me is a huge important piece to that puzzle of educating our kids and offering that. Certainly, technical education is an important piece, and there's other pieces to the puzzle as well, but that higher education piece locally and affordable is a huge deal.
Yeah, and we have a grow our own mentality here. That was kind of, I think, really started years ago when organizations came to USC Salkehatchie and said, "Look, this is what we need. Can you help us?" And of course, that's always something that we want to do as long as it's within our possibilities of doing it. That mentality came about years ago, and just like you said, what happens, unfortunately, we've found that when students do leave our area, sometimes, and the majority of the time, they don't come back. And I totally agree with you. I think that education in general, certainly does provide people the opportunity to completely change the trajectory of their future, and not only of theirs, but that of their families as well. And, our mission at Salkehatchie is to provide that higher education and that intellectual leadership for our service area. So, what we offer allows students to earn that high quality USC education at the affordable price, which creates endless opportunities for their future. So,
Yeah, that's great. And you talked about the students and getting involved in schools and trying to figure out ways to encourage students that are coming from these rural areas to pursue a higher education. What are some of the strategies that you guys are currently working on to get out in the community and get out in the schools to engage and try to encourage students to apply and attend locally?
one of our bigger programs, honestly, and the other regional campuses do this as well, and some of the tech schools do it, but it's dual enrollment. So we're in our local high schools and offering college courses to high school students, and that's a huge opportunity. Both of my children took advantage of that. My daughter's going to graduate an entire year early because of dual enrollment. So what a great opportunity for students, what a great opportunity for parents, what a great opportunity for our communities, to get these students in and get them out of college and get them into the workforce. That's really the purpose, right? That's why anybody that pursues higher education, they want a good job. But our enrollment management staff is consistently out in our local schools, and not only in the local schools, but in the communities as well. I will say we have a great group of staff members who are very willing to go out into the communities and participate in community events. I mean, just as an example, and you'll be there tomorrow night, the Southern Palmetto Chamber is hosting the Business Expo, and that's going to be on our campus. So every opportunity that we can get our community members on our campus, we look for that. And we not only have we not only want to serve students, but we want to serve the community. So anytime that we can be helpful there, that's what we're looking for. And I mean, that's part of what we do. That's part of who we are. That's part of why this campus was created 60 plus years ago, was, to serve the people of this region. So we're constantly looking for ways to do that. We're constantly looking for ways to recruit students. We're having a little bit of a hard time right now with enrollment, and we really want our community to know what we have to offer, and we want our community to be invested, just as invested as in us as we are in our communities. And send your children here, send your grandchildren here, nieces, nephews, refer them to us, come take a tour on our campus and find out just how perfect of a fit it is. Not everybody, number one, wants to go off to a big campus, but I can't tell you the number of people that I've come across, and of course, in my time here at Salkehatchie in the last 13 years, but even in the last year, who say to me, "Hey, I went to USC Salkehatchie." Sometimes they say I went for a year and then I transferred out. Sometimes they say I went for 2 years, got my associate's degree, and then transferred right on up to Columbia and finished out. So we just want people to know that that's an option here. And it's a great place to get started. It's a great place to end, because now, what we have now versus what we didn't have 60 plus years ago was the opportunity to finish a 4-year degree here. So a lot has changed at USC Salkehatchie in the last 60 plus years. And we're doing the best we can to make sure that we're offering what our community needs.
Yeah, and speaking of those offerings, I know one of the things that as I've gotten more and more involved and interested in what you guys are doing down there and started to follow, you've done a great job, like you were saying, with the associate's degree, but then also allowing those 4-year kind of degrees. Give people a sense. I know we talked about the nursing program, but that's kind of only the tip of the iceberg as far as what you guys offer and what you guys have been able to accomplish over the last several years as you've expanded. Give people a kind of a sense of breakdown of what are your top 3 things that people are involved in, and what are some opportunities that you see that are really a good fit for some of our potentially local students?
Sure. Nursing is by far one of the bigger draws for USC Salkehatchie. Of course, athletics, that's one thing we haven't talked about. We field 7 sports. So we get a lot of students interested in Salkehatchie because of athletics. They get the opportunity to continue to play out of high school. We also have an education program. I know I briefly mentioned that earlier, but we're also working to help with the teacher shortage in our school districts, which we know is continuing to grow. And we have a partnership with USC Aiken in early childhood and elementary education. And so, like our nursing students, our student teachers are gaining experience at schools in their communities. And one of the nice things is, I've always liked to express this with my nursing students over the years is, you're going into a facility, you're going into a healthcare facility, and just like the student teachers, you're going into local schools. This is your job interview. You have a perfect opportunity to land a job when you're done, and all of our students do. By the time they're done with our programs, they have a job waiting on them. But we want future teachers to know also that we have what's called a Call Me Mister program, and that allows students enrolled in the education program to receive some additional funding, mentorship, and training as well, with a focus on helping teachers pass the praxis exam. I always like to say, though, don't let that name fool you, because you don't have to be a mister to be in that program and to benefit from that. So that opportunity is open to any student who aspires to be a teacher. One of the big buzzwords right now that I know everybody just seems to be talking about is STEM. And so a few years ago, our Leadership Institute partnered and wrote a grant, and we have a STEM program at USC Salkehatchie. It's a 2+2 engineering program. That's also with USC Aiken. This one is a little bit different from nursing and education, though. With this program, students are USC Salkehatchie students for their first 2 years, and then they actually have to physically transfer to USC Aiken to finish out the last 2 years of that program. But the STEM program itself was funded and continues to be funded actually by what's called a Workforce Opportunities and Regional Careers grant. And those funds are provided by the Department of Energy as well as the National Nuclear Security Administration. But the funds are administered to USC Salkehatchie by the Savannah Riverside Community Reuse Organization. And so what this program does is it helps to create a pipeline of students who are later able to fill those high demand, high paying STEM careers. And with our partnership with USC Aiken, again, like I said, they complete their first 2 years with us and then transfer to Aiken to complete the engineering degree. And thanks to that grant, we have some amazing opportunities for scholarships, paid internships that are available to our STEM majors. And we have recently hired a STEM program manager. Her name is Tracy Beach, and she's doing an amazing job with this program. She is, reaching out to industries, and she's making connections, and she's wanting to get our students out into the community, to tour some like Savannah Riverside. She's working on getting a tour going at Plant Vogel. And so she's really hit the ground running with the STEM program. She's been spending hours in our local schools trying to connect with them. Did 3 weeks worth of education in Allendale schools over the summer. So she's been working really hard to help us out with that program and to make sure that the community is aware of what we have to offer for that.
Yeah, that sounds like an interesting program to allow students that maybe have, coming from these rural areas, a lot of times students do have limited resources or access to resources. And so, the nursing, the education, the STEM that you just mentioned with the, partnering with DOE and NSA to, in meetings when I hear about future growth, when I talk to a lot of the DOE people and NSA, obviously you're very familiar with a lot of the pipeline of workers that they're going to need over the next 15 to 20 years. And so, USC Salkehatchie being able to provide educational opportunities to students in, Barnwell, Bamberg, Allendale counties and other counties as well, to then be able to fulfill some of those jobs is, to me, a huge opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other things I always like to mention too is, not only do we have these educational programs, we also have some learning opportunities for the community as well. So we have, and I don't know if you've had a chance to tour in either of them yet, but we have iCarolina Learning Labs, one on each of our campuses, so one in Allendale and one in Walterboro. These labs are thanks to the governor a couple of years ago, who allotted some funds for creation of these. So each of the regional campuses of USC have at least one iCarolina Learning Lab on their campus. And so these are not only open for students, faculty, and staff, but also for community use. And they're equipped with the latest Apple technology. And as you would know, and many others would, but both of our campuses are located in broadband deserts. And so, offering the community access to this free technology and free high-speed internet, certainly a valuable resource for our community members. They're also valuable assets for economic development. And, speaking of that, our Leadership Institute plays a critical role in economic development within the communities. And that was established about 25 years ago to stimulate economic development. Leadership Institute co-wrote, I guess, maybe a year and a half or so ago now, a grant with Southern Palmetto Chamber and Bob Sneed. And the result of that is the Propel Business Lab, which is the training for local entrepreneurs that's hosted in our Allendale iCarolina Lab. Also in the iCarolina Lab, we offer Swift programming certifications. We have an Apple Bits and Bytes course. It's an introduction to Apple programming. So we have lots of opportunities, learning opportunities for other people than just our students. And, we have community interest courses as well. So each semester we offer 1 credit hour courses that could be of interest to people in our community. And for anybody who's 60 and over, they actually can take a course for free. So we've seemed to get a lot of interest from individuals who are 60 and over wanting to come and take some of these courses that are just really interesting and fun, like yoga, computer classes, like I mentioned. We've done conversational Spanish before. This semester, we're doing a Spanish for first responders. It's the first time we've done that. Culinary exploration. So just fun classes, not just for our students, but for the community. And again, like I said, if you're 60 or over, you can take it for free.
Yeah, that's awesome. First of all, I'm Leadership Salkehatchie graduate, so that was a great program for me as I was starting to get involved in the community and kind of thinking about how I could become more involved. Actually, before I was actually on council, went through that program, and it was incredible to kind of come together with other leaders in the region, and the educational, economic development, and educational kind of opportunities that were facilitated through that program were really beneficial to me, and I know a lot of others. And then what you guys have been able to do through the Palmetto Chamber with working with Bob, we talked to Bob a few weeks ago on here and just talked about part of that is cultivating our own leaders right here. And so I think that's an important thing that the Chamber's doing, but also that USC Salkehatchie is doing, not only investing in students, it certainly is important, but also investing in other people who are living here, working here, playing here, that are getting involved in their communities and giving them opportunities so that we can grow our own leaders and develop our leaders right here, in Barnwell, in Allendale. And so, I thank USC Salkehatchie for all they're doing with all of those programs, because I think it's extremely important that we continue to do that over the next several years.
Yeah, and I certainly want to make sure that I give a good shout out also to Southern Carolina Alliance because they're the organization that helps to fund Leadership Salkehatchie. And so, without their help and without their support, it wouldn't be possible. So Leadership Salkehatchie is an amazing program, and we're looking to do that again this year. We're looking to make a couple of minor adjustments to that. So but be thinking about anybody that might be a good fit for that program because we'll have some information coming out hopefully fairly soon about a new cohort for Leadership Salkehatchie.
Yeah, that's great. The cohort that I was involved in, Danny Blackens, K Maxwell, the whole Southern Carolina Alliance team did a great job in collaboration with USC Salkehatchie, and just being able to put together kind of a, like I said, for me the Leadership Salkehatchie class was personal development, but also kind of an introduction to economic development 101. And there's a ton of things that you learn in there that that are very instrumental, whether it be the importance of broadband, for example. I think everybody's excited about a lot of the opportunities that are coming down the pipeline with infrastructure and broadband, but other infrastructure, whether it be sewer and water. I mean, it's incredible the amount of things that go into economic development that people they realize, but they don't. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that are important. So having an experience where we were able to get some personal development, also economic development, some tourism stuff. It was very interesting to see all this stuff they put together. They did a really, really good job with that program, and I know it's continued to grow ever since. So
Had an opportunity this past year, and being in my first year as dean, I had an opportunity to sit in on some of the sessions this last year, and they really were amazing. We took a trip to Columbia and heard Kurt Randazzo speak about leadership, and so it's been enlightening for me, even to be able to sit in on some of those sessions. Have not participated in Leadership Salkehatchie, but certainly wish I'd have had that opportunity previously.
yeah, it's a great opportunity. If anybody's out there that maybe from Barnwell, Allendale, Bamberg, any of the kind of the Southern Carolina Alliance region, I guess. Anybody that's interested, I'd definitely encourage them to reach out and talk to someone about it, because it's a great opportunity for people who are trying to get more involved and learn more about, personal development, also community development stuff. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about before we let you go here is, I really respect the fact that you have lived kind of in the rural area that you now serve, right? So there's a lot of people who maybe don't, they're in a role like yours, that maybe they live off in not a rural area, right? And maybe they live at the coast and they come back and forth or whatever. You've kind of lived here, grown up here, so you kind of fully understand when we talk about trying to reach rural students, bring access to rural students. You understand that because you have lived that and you continue to live that. So what part of kind of what's motivated you to live? I know family's part of it, but what else has kind of motivated you to live in rural Sycamore, South Carolina? And what are some of the advantages that you see personally that kind of has motivated you to continue to live there?
Yeah, sure. So living in a small rural town is not for everybody. I mean, that's all I've known all my life. Like I said, grew up in Barnwell, but have family in Hampton County as well. And, so my dad lived in Estill growing up. So I've been a part of small areas all of my life, really. I'm not a city girl. Never have been. I don't mind going to the city, but as soon as I get there and I'm in the middle of traffic, I'm ready to get out of it and get home. So I just like a little bit of a slower pace, I think. I think that one of the things that I like about living in rural areas, as well as what I like about USC Salkehatchie, is just that it's such a close knit group of people. I mean, I think that having an opportunity to have relationships and close relationships with people within the community, with people on our campus, our students, to me, that's what it's all about. I think that opportunities come when relationships are formed. So I think relationships are really critical to opportunities. Um, just that small town, intimate atmosphere, I guess, of our campus and our region. And again, I really think for me that type of atmosphere is what's provided a platform for me to continue to develop and to cultivate those close relationships. And having support people around, I think, is really important because, everything I've done in my life, going back to school and while working full time and being married and having children, you can't do that on your own. You've got to have support people. You've got to have a village. I mean, it takes a village. I know we've been saying that for years. It takes a village to educate, but it takes a village to be successful. I did not do this on my own. Got a very supportive husband. I've got supportive children, supportive parents, and they're always there for me when I need them. And having them around me, I think is what keeps me motivated to stay here. And I guess the other thing too, as we are closing, being here and being from here and living here is really what fuels, I think, my commitment to and investment in the success of USC Salkehatchie. Like you said, I see myself in a lot of our students. I wasn't a very privileged person growing up, and I've had to work my way through and pay for every degree that I've earned. So, I think that says a lot for, what motivates me. I'm looking forward to contributing to our mission in a more comprehensive manner as I'm in this role, and to provide what I hope to be visionary leadership to our faculty and our staff as they work to continue to serve the people of our region. And, my goals are here at Salk are really to continue to grow our enrollment, expand our partnerships within the region, and not only within the region, but with other system campuses as well, because that's the nice part of being a part of a system is that you have that support. So we are a USC campus, and we have access to Columbia, we have access to Beaufort, we have access to Aiken, and so it's nice to be a part of that system.
Yeah, you can tell from the minute I met you and kind of toured when I was touring the nursing program, you can tell that your heart. And I think I'm sure this is what the leadership saw when they hired you. Your heart for the community and the people that you serve, it really shines through in the way you carry yourself and the way you interact. And so, they're very lucky to have you there. What one thing I did want to ask you is, what advice would you give a student kind of coming from a rural area that may be looking at aspiring to a higher education? What kind of advice would you give a student from kind of they're walking maybe the same shoes that you walked growing up?
Just, I guess, really, I know it sounds cliche, but don't give up. If there's something that that you want, go for it. Take every opportunity that comes your way, because had I not taken the opportunities that I have taken, to advance my education, I wouldn't be where I am today. So, I've been a nurse for 24, 25 years, I guess. But I didn't get my doctorate. I didn't get a terminal degree until 2019. So, it's taken me a little while to do it, and don't let that discourage you. Just continue to push. If you're motivated enough, you can certainly do it. And I'm proof of that. That's for sure. Never, again, like I said earlier, never in a million years would I have thought, number one, I'd have been a dean, but number two, I'd have a terminal degree. So just continue to take every opportunity that presents itself, because you never know where that'll lead you.
And then finally, we're going to close with what I like to call the Realizing Rural 10. So this is 10 just quick questions, one sentence, one word, whatever comes, just the first thing that comes to your mind. We'll jump through these really quick. I've asked every guest that we've had on. So number one, what is one thing you love most about rural areas?
Intimacy.
How do you recharge and find inspiration in your daily life?
My family.
What is your favorite outdoor activity or hobby?
Boating.
What is one piece of advice you would give to your younger self?
Oh, wow. Um, Continue to work hard and be persistent.
What is your favorite movie or TV show and why?
Oh, I've got so many.
This always gets people every time. They either don't have
Oh
one or
my
they have too
goodness.
many.
I have too many, I think. Right. Well, okay, my guilty pleasure, I guess, right now in terms of a show is I'm watching Suits.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah, I've been on that one for a
that
little
one
bit lately.
has,
Okay.
and I think I'm drawn to it just because of the strength of everybody in that show. You
Yeah,
know, I mean, they're most of the time a good example of how to be persistent and work hard.
for sure. What is one misconception about rural life that you would like to dispel?
That there's nothing to do. I mean, I guess it depends on how you look at it. We don't have a lot of shopping, you know, we don't have a lot of fast food restaurants and great places to eat, but there's still plenty to do here. Plenty to do.
What is one thing you believe our community needs to continue to thrive and grow?
We need our younger generation to stay here and continue to contribute to our economy. That's what we need. We need to grow our own.
Now this is I'm gonna give you a little chance to brag on yourself, maybe just for a second. So share a personal or professional accomplishment that you're most proud of.
Um, Probably, well, I guess at this point in my life, this job, this opportunity that I have is probably my biggest accomplishment. Before this, it would have been the nursing sim lab for sure. That's kind of been my baby in the nursing program. But the ability to serve in this capacity is by far the best in turn, especially professionally.
And lastly, is there a quote or a mantra that you maybe like a go-to quote or mantra that you live by?
Um, my kids would tell you that I say this all the time. Stay ahead, don't get behind, work ahead, don't wait to the last minute.
Yeah, I think that's good. That's good advice. That's great advice. Well, listen, thank you so much for your time. I know it's been a pleasure to talk to you, and I know there's a lot of people that will get a lot out of this interview. I think I can speak for a lot of people here in Barnwell and in Allendale, I'm sure, and all across the state, really. When I say we appreciate everything that USC Salkehatchie does, and we really appreciate your strong leadership there, and look forward to continued success as you continue to grow USC Salkehatchie. So best of luck in the future, and really appreciate your time and taking the time today.
Well, thank you very much and appreciate all of your support and your leadership in Barnwell as well.
Thank you. Talk soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Perfect.